Hello, my friend. Nice to have you here. Today you will find out what life was really like as a soldier in the Crusade in the year 1097. No shining armour, no swift victories, just the relentless march, the intense reality of siege warfare and much more. So if you love history as much as I do, then sit back, get yourself a warm and nice coffee, and leave your everyday life behind for a moment. And please let me know in the comments what your favourite topic in history is. So if you are ready, follow me on this journey. And now, welcome to another world. Congratulations! You just woke up as a soldier in the Crusade. Not in your warm bed, not in a cosy bedroom. Instead, you're lying on a rough blanket on cold ground. Your home? A tent, made of thick, dusty fabric sheets. The sun has barely shown itself, yet the first warmth is already creeping under the tent roof, a promise of another day under this vast sky. Your back aches, your muscles feel like wrung-out leather, your throat dry. Yeah, that's what life was like, soldier. Next to you, two other men are sleeping. One snores softly, the other mumbles in his sleep. A prayer, a memory of home. Your armour lies next to you, lightly covered with dew. The metal parts are cool, almost icy. You look at them for a moment and know, today you'll have to wear them again. Every strap, every plate, every stitch of the seam, familiar, and you'll probably have to use them too. This protective shell, separating you from the elements and dangers, has become your constant companion. You're part of the First Crusade somewhere in Asia Minor in the year 1097. Your journey began many weeks ago, a long, arduous trek through foreign lands. Where did you come from? France, a tranquil village, or from the Holy Roman Empire? Vast forests. You answered the call of the Pope, Urban II, who promised that all sins would be forgiven if you liberated Jerusalem from the hands of the Muslims. Forgiveness, which was as important to you as daily bread, perhaps even more so. Were you a farmer before, tilling the land and living by the seasons? Or a young nobleman without an inheritance, who saw an opportunity for honour or a new beginning in this journey? Now you are a soldier, a fighter among thousands, all on the same path. You wear a cross on your surcoat simply sewn on, often already faded. But what that means becomes clearer to you every day. It means travel, hardship, vigilance, cold and heat, minor ailments, fatigue, farewell. It means becoming a new self, shaped by the challenges of the road. Your feet are wrapped in cloth, over which you've pulled leather boots. The wraps are damp with the sweat of the last few days, a smell of salt and earth. Your toes are sensitive. Every small stone on the path becomes a trial. You try to stand up, but your knees protest with a soft creak, a sign of the many miles they've already covered. You move slowly, carefully, stretching to loosen the stiffness. Outside, you already hear voices. The camp is alive, even before the sun has fully risen. A signal here, an officer's call there, commands echoing short and clear through the morning air. Horses breathe heavily, their breath forming small clouds of mist in the cool air. Metal clanks as someone arranges their equipment. A kettle is hung over a fire and the smell of smoke mixes with the damp grass. You crawl out of the tent. The air is fresh, slightly damp, the sky still grey and overcast, but the first reddish hues announce the sun's ascent. You're in an open field, far and wide nothing but dew-covered grass, earth that springs under your feet, and tents scattered like small hills across the landscape. The ground is uneven, crisscrossed by traces of the many who lay here before you, and by the night's moisture. Flies buzz over yesterday's food scraps, an eternal companion on this journey. Next to you, someone washes their face with a few drops of water from a pouch, an expression of concentration on their face. You do the same, feeling the cool water on your skin. No soap, no mirror, just your hands, your face, and the day beginning, unvarnished and clear. The pure simplicity of life you had to adjust to. Breakfast consists of dry bread, It's hard and tastes like dust, sometimes crumbly, sometimes so tough you have to chew hard. With it, there's water that smells faintly of earth and carries a hint of mud in its taste. Did you have meat? Rarely. You eat quickly because you have to gather strength for the day, not because you're particularly hungry. Around you, many do the same. Some are silent, their faces serious and contemplative, others talk softly, making small jokes that burst like bubbles in the serious morning atmosphere. It's a quiet form of distraction, because everyone knows that this day could be demanding, or tomorrow, or the day after. Uncertainty is a constant companion, like the shadow under your helmet. That's what life was like, soldier. You were a simple gambeson, a padded linen jacket meant to protect you under your armour. It's filled with cloth or wool and offers initial protection against impacts and chafing. Over it come chainmail or plates, depending on what you own or can wear. Your chainmail, woven from countless small metal rings, is heavy and moves with each breath you take. The helmet sits firmly on your head, pressing lightly on your forehead if you wear it too long, and restricting your field of vision. Your sword is not as sharp as it used to be. The blade has lost its luster, but it's still serviceable, sharp enough for its purpose. A dagger at your side, perhaps a shield. Altogether it weighs a lot, a constant pressure on your shoulders and hips. Every step feels as if your body is made of solid, heavy material that moves with difficulty. But you've learned to accept this weight as part of you. It's part of your new identity. But you have no choice. This is your life now. The long journey has shaped you, like a strong experience shapes a person. You're no longer the person you were when you set out. The experiences have changed you, leaving indelible marks on your soul. And there is still a long way ahead of you, a path whose end you cannot see. The distant view shows only more hills and valleys, more unsecured paths. The day begins with a horn signal, a long, mournful sound that echoes through the camp, tearing you from the last remnants of half-sleep. You jump slightly as the sound echoes through the camp, a wake-up call that tolerates no dissent. Around you, men who, like you, found sleep with difficulty, awaken. Some rub their eyes, slowly and tiredly, others grumble softly, a quiet protest against the early morning. It's not quite light yet. The stars are slowly fading on the horizon, but the order to depart allows no delay. You reach for your equipment, shield, sword, helmet, your surcoat with the cross. Everything feels significant, not just because of its weight, but because of the deep meaning you've given it in recent months. Today, you will march. Another day on the way south towards the goal. The convoy slowly begins to move, a creaking of wheels, a soft tramp of thousands of feet, slowly swelling into a steady sound. You walk with your troop, about 20 men strong. Some you met along the way, shared their stories and made their faces familiar. Others remained strangers to you, faces in the crowd you've never spoken to. But they are your brothers in the Crusade, and on this journey, your destinies intertwined. You march on a Roman trade road, of which only fragments of stones protrude, overgrown with grass and moss. The path is difficult, lined with dry fields scorched by the sun, and gnarled olive trees whose shade offers little protection. Now and then, an abandoned farmstead lies at the edge, silent and empty, its windows like empty eye sockets, a silent witness to days gone by. Many people moved on when they heard of your arrival, Christians and Muslims alike, for the army of travellers brings change and new circumstances that turn the lives of many upside down. The sun slowly climbs higher. The dust of the march settles like a fine grey film on your skin, your hair, and your armour. Your mouth is dry. Every sip of water is a small luxury. The water skins are almost empty. What little is left is warm and tastes stale. There is little talking. Everyone conserves their strength, which is needed for the long march. Only the faint sound of metal, the creaking of wagons, and the quiet breathing of the sick can be heard, a monotonous sound that sets the rhythm of the day. Every now and then you encounter a traveller, an old man with a bent back, A woman with a child clinging anxiously to the side of the road, a monk with a serene gaze who quietly observes you. Their faces bear the marks of time. At noon, you rest. You sit on a stone that still holds the warmth of the sun, take off your boots to give your feet a small respite. Your feet are tired from walking, the skin under your cloth wraps is sensitive, full of blisters and small wounds. You have learned to overlook minor discomforts, to accept them as part of life. A few men eat dried meat or cheese, the aroma filling the air. It smells of exertion and leather, of the scents that surround you every day. You chew slowly, savouring each bite, thinking of earlier times, of the forests of your homeland, of the sound of the wind in the trees, of the monastery where you once secretly took a candle as a child, its warmth still in your hand, of your mother, her kind smile, memories that seem like distant dreams. Suddenly you hear shouts, loud and excited. You jump up, your heart beating faster. A troop of scouts has returned. They report a small fortified village not far from here. Muslim but not heavily guarded, a supposedly easy target. Immediately commands are shouted, orders echoing through the air. The men grab their weapons, the mood abruptly shifting from fatigue to tense anticipation. Your hands tremble slightly, a sign of tension. You know what this means, a confrontation. The rest of the day passes quickly. The army breaks camp again, leaves the path, follows a faint trail over a hill. Towards afternoon, you reach the village. The houses are made of mud, simple and modest. A small palisade of wooden stakes surrounds them. You storm the gates made of simple wooden planks. Some villagers flee in panic, their screams echoing through the narrow alleys. Others try to resist, their faces full of fear and determination. It's not a glorious engagement. It's an overwhelming, sudden, unequal encounter. Yeah, that's what it was like. You participate. You strike, not out of hatred, but out of necessity, out of the duty imposed upon you. You shout to communicate, to mark your position, and you act, an automatism you've learned on this journey to survive. Later, you stand before a well. Your sword is used, its blade no longer clean, your hands too from the dust and exertion. A dog whines somewhere, a soft, mournful sound that breaks the stillness of dusk. The smell of smoke hangs in the air, mixed with the smell of earth and battle. The village elder lies still in the middle of the square, an image burned into your memory. One of your comrades sings a church hymn, his voice hoarse but determined. You barely hear it, too many thoughts swirling in your head. Night falls. You camp in the fields behind the village, an uneven ground where the shadows of night spread like long fingers. Some tents are pitched, but many sleep under the open sky, protected only by their blankets and the cloak of night. The ground is uneven. The air smells of ash and the end, an end that settles like a heavy blanket over everything. You lie in your blanket, gazing at the stars that twinkle like countless tiny lights in the dark firmament. Sleep doesn't come. The impressions of the day are too fresh, too vivid. Images from the day return like shadows in your thoughts. The sounds, the traces, the look of a boy you couldn't protect, or didn't want to. Next to you someone breathes heavily, a soft snore. Another mumbles a prayer, words that sound like a gentle river. You reach into your pouch, pull out the small rosary your sister gave you when you left, a memory of home. The beads are smooth, familiar, their coolness calming your fingers. You whisper an Our Father, the words forming softly on your lips. It calms you a little, a hint of peace in the restlessness of the night. But sleep won't come. The thoughts remain. The next morning, clouds gather. The sky changes from a clear blue to a gloomy grey. It smells like rain, an earthy scent mingling with the cool air. The ground is damp, the grass clammy under your boots. You set off early, even before the sun has truly found its way through the clouds. The path leads through a valley nestled between two hills, their slopes covered with dry scrub. There, it is said, a caravan was sighted, with supplies, news that spreads like a spark of hope through the ranks. Hope for food, for water, for some change from the deprivation of the past few days, which have demanded so much from you. The first few hours pass quietly. You walk lost in thought, your gaze sweeping over the landscape, which changes in its colours and forms. The weather makes marching a little more bearable. The cool air is more pleasant than the burning sun. The sun stays behind the clouds, a gentle shadow falling over the landscape. As you reach the end of the valley, horn calls suddenly resound. A shrill, unexpected sound that makes you jump. You snap your head up, your gaze searching for the source of the sound. Riders emerge from the forest. Turkish scouts. Their horses gallop over the uneven terrain, their silhouettes blurring in the dim light. Arrows whiz through the air with a soft hiss that makes you feel the danger. You throw yourself to the ground, pull up your shield, trying to make yourself as small as possible. An arrow sticks in it, its tip vibrating slightly. Your ears ring from adrenaline, men shout, horses whinny frantically. The confrontation begins, sudden and unprepared. That's what life was like, soldier. It's a mess, a battle that unfolds quickly. You defend yourself shoulder to shoulder with your comrades, their faces tense and determined. Your legs tremble, yet you stand firm, a rock in the storm of events. You strike at a rider with your sword, hitting his leg. He falls, his horse rears up. Another comes from the side. You turn, raise your shield, feel the impact of the blow that almost knocks you down. Your arm aches, a dull pain that slowly spreads. After half an hour, it's over. The attackers retreat, their cries slowly fading into the distance. You stand panting in the field, your armor torn, your faces covered in dust and sweat. Many are wounded, their cries soft and painful. Some are gone, their bodies lying still on the ground. You look at a fallen friend, his face pale, his eyes staring into space. It's raining lightly now. The drops cool your skin, but they also mix with the dust and dirt. The ground becomes muddy, every step leaving deep imprints. You gather the wounded, their moans a soft sound in the silence after the confrontation. You strip off your equipment, which now seems even heavier. The caravan was a trick. No water, no bread. Only traces of the conflict scarring the landscape. You go to the river, wash your face. The cold water feels soothing. Your fingers tremble slightly, an aftershock of the tension. You are alive, but at what cost? A field chaplain says a prayer for the fallen, his words a comfort in the grief. You lay them to rest under stones, simply, wordlessly. Then you continue marching, exhausted, but alive, onto Jerusalem, ever onward, step by step into an unknown morning that will hold new challenges. You will stand guard today, not marching, not fighting, but standing, watching, listening. The valleys before you may seem deceptively calm, but every bush, every shadow can hide a surprise. You're assigned to the middle section of the rampart, which consists of raised earth and sharpened wooden stakes. At night, this place becomes your post, your domain, which you guard with your senses. Your eyes are your most important tool. Your ears listen for every sound. You must not get tired, for tiredness means carelessness, and carelessness means difficulties you want to avoid. That's what life was like, soldier. During the day, you walk the stretch. About 200 paces in each direction, a recurring path. The sun is high, it burns on your armor, which feels like an oven. The dust clings to your face, sweat trickles down your forehead. The water from your pouch is lukewarm, but it's water, and that's the most important thing. You see birds on the horizon, circling. A rabbit scurries through the grass, its movement fleeting and fast. Everything seems peaceful, and that's exactly what's dangerous. The silence before a change is often the clearest sign, a harbinger of what may come. In the early evening, reinforcements arrive. 2 more guards, their faces serious and watchful. One of them is a Norman, strong but quiet. He doesn't talk much, but his movements are precise, his eyes vigilant, always looking for the unexpected. The other is a young man from the Rhineland. Still new, his eyes still marked by a certain innocence. His hands tremble slightly. He exudes a certain uncertainty that you understand well. You talk to them, give them tips you've learned yourself. Watch for smoke, for shadows, for unrest in animals. Nature sees more than we do. If the birds suddenly fly, if the crickets fall silent, then be ready. Your words are serious, filled with the experience you've gained in recent weeks. Night falls. Your shift begins. The sky is clear. The stars twinkle like countless diamonds on the dark fabric of the night. The moon shines, its gentle light casting long shadows over the field. A weak protection, but better than total darkness, which would take away all orientation. You barely talk. Everyone listens, watches, thinks. Every now and then, a wolf howls, a lonely sound echoing through the stillness of the night. Then silence again, so deep that you can hear your own heart beating. Time passes slowly, every minute stretching out. The wind blows cold across the field, creeping under your clothes and making you shiver. You pull your cloak tighter around you, repeatedly feeling for your sword, whose hilt feels familiar and comforting. Shortly after midnight, you see something. A movement at the edge of the forest, a shadow detaching itself from the trees. You raise your hand, a signal to your comrades. The others freeze, their gazes following your direction. Minutes pass, the tension palpable. Then, another shadow, clearer this time. You grab your bow, pull an arrow from the quiver, draw the string, but don't shoot. It was an animal, a fox, moving silently through the grass. Your heart beats faster than before, a pounding sound in your ears. Was it just an animal, or a scout hiding behind the fox? You will never know. You breathe deeply. The rest of the night passes quietly. The cold creeps into your limbs, your eyes burn from the strain. When the sun rises, you tremble with cold and exhaustion. But you held on, you saw, and you survived. Another day done, and once again you were one step ahead of misfortune. That's what life was like, soldier. Today the army rests, or so they say. In truth, there's a lot to do. You help repair the wagons, their wheels creaking and their axles stiff. You help prepare a sheep that will be slaughtered for the evening meal, replenish the water skins that are slowly emptying. Everyone has tasks. No one is truly idle. Even the knights carry wood today, their shining armour temporarily set aside, mending their torn surcoats or having their horses shod, the horseshoes clanging on the ground. The campaign knows no idle moments, not even for the nobles, who are otherwise accustomed to other duties. You're assigned to secure a nearby spring. Along with 4 other men you set out, your steps even and cautious. The path leads through a dried up stream bed, then through a sparse patch of forest whose trees offer little shade. The spring lies hidden under a rock, its sound a soft gurgle that quenches your thirst even before the first sip. It flows slowly but clearly, its water cool and refreshing. You drink. You fill your water skins, which now feel heavy. You secure the area. Your gaze is sweeping over the surroundings. You see carved marks on a tree. From whom? From others who were here before you? A small message? A greeting from times past? Or nothing? But you remember them. On the way back you discover something. An old campfire, little more than ash and stone, but the traces are clear. Someone was here, not long ago. You become vigilant, moving in tight formations, your weapons ready, but no one shows themselves. No sounds except the crackling of twigs under your boots, the echo of your own footsteps in the silence of the forest. In the evening, you return. You bring water and news. Later, by the fire that crackles and spreads its warmth, you talk about earlier times. An old knight tells of Constantinople, which you passed through weeks ago, of the high walls that rose into the sky like an impenetrable fortress, the mosaics in the Hagia Sophia that shimmered in their colours and told stories of long past times, and of the Byzantines who received you kindly but distantly, their eyes marked by distrust. and of the uncertainty of whom you can truly trust in this foreign world where alliances were often short-lived. Yes, that's what life was like. A young man from Provence asks if what you're doing is truly God's will. His voice is soft, full of doubt. Another does not answer. His gaze is empty. He has probably asked himself this question many times. You think of Jerusalem, of the goal that floats like a shining point on the horizon, of what is yet to come, the challenges that still lie ahead, and whether all the effort, the exertion, the sweat, the grief, truly has a sacred meaning, a purpose that justifies all the suffering. At night, you lie awake. You hear the breathing of the others, the rustling of the wind in the grass, the soft snort of a horse in the distance, and again that question echoing in your head. Will you survive it? Will you see the Holy Sepulchre? Or will you lie nameless in a field far from home, your name forgotten by all who knew you? Today is Sunday, and even though you're in the midst of a campaign, there is a mass, an improvised altar of stones covered with a simple cloth, a priest in dusty robes, his hands rough but his voice clear, the cross in his hand, a symbol of faith and hope. You kneel in a circle, helmets removed, hands clasped, your faces serious and reverent. The singing sounds weak but honest, an expression of longing for salvation. Some sing along, their voices rising in a hesitant chorus. Others do not, their lips tightly closed. But all listen, their gazes fixed on the priest. The priest speaks of salvation, of suffering, of hope. His words are a comfort in distress, a promise of a better future. Many nod, their eyes moist. Some show emotion, tears running down their cheeks. You remain silent. You think of the things you regret, the sins you carry on your conscience, and of those you will yet commit, the decisions you must make. You remember the sermons at home, which you heard as a child, the words of the parish priest in the familiar church, of your mother, who attended church every Sunday, her face filled with inner peace, and how far you are now from that world, how much your life has changed. After Mass, there's a special ration, dried figs, sweet and chewy, a little fish, salted and dry, but a welcome change. It tastes better than usual. Why? Because of the day, which brings a touch of normalcy to the demanding life, or because of the memory of home, the sweetness of childhood that still lingers in your memory. Some tell stories from their childhood, their voices soft and nostalgic. Others remain silent, their thoughts drifting into the distance. For a moment, the mood is peaceful, a brief respite before the next storm. Later, you help with the farewell of a fallen comrade. He was young, barely 20. His eyes were still full of life, his dreams unfulfilled. You barely knew him, only his face was familiar. Yet you carry his body, feel his weight in your arms, shovel earth, which feels heavy on the spade. A simple grave, a simple mound, a simple prayer, softly spoken by the priest. This is how many end here. Nameless, without a song, only earth and the cross that stands over their grave. That's what life was like, soldier. A knight reads from the Bible, Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the words echo within you. Their meaning is so clear in this moment. For the valley through which you are marching is demanding, and the thought of the end is not a distant one. It is a constant companion, like your shadow that follows you, always at your side. As the sun sets, you sit alone. You gaze across the land which changes colour in the sunset, and you wonder how many days you have left, and if you will ever see Jerusalem, the shining goal of your journey. And if you do see it, what will you feel then? Joy? Relief? Or nothing at all? Because on the way there you lost everything you were. Your innocence, your youth, your dreams. The day begins with noise. A horn blast tears you from your half-sleep, a sharp sound that instantly wakes you up. You jump up, automatically grabbing your sword, your fingers closing around the hilt. A confrontation? No, a departure. The army's on the move. You have lingered at this place for a long time. Too long? Supplies are dwindling. The risk of being discovered is growing. Scouts report that other troops have been sighted not far from here. Their movements are unpredictable, so the camp is cleared. Everything has to happen quickly, every move precise. You help dismantle the tent. Your fingers are numb from the morning dew. Your shoulders still ache from the night watch. Every muscle is tense. The sky is leaden grey. Heavy clouds are gathering. Not an ideal day for marching, but you have no choice. No one asks if you are ready. You keep moving, ever eastward, towards the goal. That's what it was like. The convoy sets off. Wagons rumble over uneven paths, their wheels striking stones and earth. Horses whinny, their breath forming small clouds of mist in the cool morning air. Armour clanks, a constant sound accompanying the rhythm of the march. It smells of leather, exertion, wet fabric. A smell you're now familiar with. Voices everywhere, commands, shouts. You walk in the middle of the column, between foot soldiers and other fighters. Some carry children on their backs, tiredly clinging to their parents. Others lead mules, heavily laden. An old man prays loudly, his voice hoarse. A boy sings a song that almost no one remembers, an old melody telling of times past. The path is difficult. Ascents alternate with narrow stony passages that make progress difficult. You step into a puddle. The water immediately penetrates your shoes, and your feet are now wet and cold. Your thoughts wander. You remember a river in your homeland, its clear water sparkling in the sun, the play of light on the water, looking like dancing diamonds, the smell of freshly baked bread coming from your mother's oven, and the face of your sister, her smile that always cheered you up. How long ago was that? Weeks? Months? It feels like a lifetime. That's what it was like, soldier. In the afternoon, you halt, only for a short while. The horses need water, their mouths are dry. The men too, their throats are rough from the dust. You sit on a stone that still holds the sun's warmth, take off your helmet, wipe the sweat from your forehead. A fellow soldier hands you a piece of dried meat. It tastes like dust and metal, but it's food. You barely talk. Words cost energy, and energy is scarce, a precious commodity on this journey. In the evening, you reach a small hill overlooking a village, abandoned, burned down. Smoke still rises from the charred remains of the houses. Plunderers were faster, perhaps other Crusader detachments looking for supplies. No one cares about the truth. You camp at the edge of the village. Tents are not pitched, too unsafe. The risk of an attack is too great. Fires are forbidden to avoid attracting attention. You eat cold and sleep under the open sky, the stars your only roof. The night is restless. Dogs howl in the distance, an eerie sound that settles like a veil over the landscape. Once you think you hear voices, a foreign language. You reach for your sword, but nothing happens. Imagination. Scouts watching you, or just the wind rushing through the trees. You sleep lightly, always with one hand on your weapon, ready to jump up at any moment. The next morning begins earlier than expected. A commander rides through the camp calling for departure, his voice loud and piercing. You shoulder your pack, which feels heavier and heavier, and rejoin the ranks. Today you are to cross a strategically important valley. The danger is great. You could be ambushed. The narrowness of the valley offers the perfect place for an ambush. But the path only leads that way. The mood is tense. Even the knights barely speak, their faces serious and concentrated. Everyone checks their sword, their shield, their prayer, preparing for what lies ahead. Before the march, the priest holds a short mass. He blesses you with holy water, its coolness feeling like a small touch of God on your skin. Some kiss their crosses, their lips tightly pressed together. You do too. Does it help? You don't know, but it gives you a moment of peace. That's what life was like. The march into the valley is tough. To your left and right, rocks rise steeply and inaccessibly. The path is narrow, barely wide enough for 2 men side by side, which restricts movement. You walk with bated breath. Every step is a conscious decision. Every step could be your last. Again and again, your gaze sweeps to the heights above you. Nothing. But you know how quickly that can change, how quickly calm can turn into chaos. Suddenly a shout from the front, then shouts that build into a crescendo of noise. An arrow whizzes through the air with a sharp hiss, then a second, an encounter. You draw your sword, duck, try to shield yourself behind a wagon that offers you a brief moment of cover. Chaos erupts. Men fall, their screams echoing through the valley. Horses whinny in panic, their hooves striking the ground. Orders are lost in the din. Communication becomes difficult. The attackers, probably Turkish riders, have the advantage of the terrain. They shoot from cover, then disappear again, their movements quick and fleeting. You can barely defend yourselves trapped in this snare. Arrows rain down on you, their tips gleaming in the sunlight. You see a friend fall, a bolt in his chest. He breathes heavily, twitches, his eyes wide open. Then nothing. You fight your way with 3 others into a hollow, trying to use your bow, your hands trembling slightly. You hit once, decisively. You don't know. The attack lasts less than an hour, but it feels like an eternity, every second stretching out. Then the enemies retreat, their cries slowly fading into the distance. You remain, but not defeated. You gather the fallen. Their bodies are still, their faces marked by hardship. You bind wounds, the smell of blood and herbs filling the air. The path through the valley is clear but dearly bought. As you move on, your gaze lingers on the ground behind you, there, where traces of the conflict slowly vanish into the dust, like memories. That's what it was like. Today you reach Antioch, or rather, its city walls. High and massive, they rise into the sky, their stones etched by time. A formidable stronghold that looms before you. The sight silences you, a mixture of awe and respect. You're exhausted, dirty, with minor injuries, yet this sight brings new tension to the army. Antioch will not be easy to take. Everyone knows that. The city is large, well supplied, protected by high mountains that surround it like a fortress. The enemy is strong, their defences are imposing. You prepare for a long siege. Weeks, months. You begin setting up the camp. Trenches are dug, ramparts erected to protect you from attacks. Scouts report enemy reconnaissance approaching. Every day can bring an encounter, a new challenge. You're assigned to digging trenches. For hours you dig earth, your hands sensitive, covered in blisters, your back burning from the exertion. But you keep digging step by step to ensure protection for the camp. That's what life was like, soldier. In the evening you hear a knight discussing plans. A helper inside the city walls is mentioned. Someone who could help you open a gate, a crack in the impenetrable defense. Just a whisper, but hope grows, like a small plant in the desert. Once again, you realize success comes not only from strength, but also from cleverness, from the right decisions at the right time. At night you guard the rampart. Above you the stars shine, an infinite firmament that fills you with wonder. Before you, the dark silhouette of the city, its walls rising like an impenetrable barrier. You think of all the people there, men, women, children. They too have their worries. They too fight for survival. And then a thought comes to you. What if you are on the wrong path? What if God is not on your side? You shake it off. You must not doubt now, not here, not so close to the goal that has demanded so much from you. So there you have it, your life as a soldier in the Crusade. No glory, no heroic sheen, only dirt, exertion, sweat, worry, and an endless, relentless journey through a foreign land that is not well disposed towards you. You had a dream of salvation, of fame, of divine grace. And what did you get? Hardship, fatigue, encounters that robbed you of sleep, friends who passed before your eyes, their voices fading into the distance, doubts that gnawed at you internally, like soft voices in your head. That's what life was like, soldier. Your goal was not to change the world. Your goal was to somehow make it through, to survive the next march, the next confrontation, and perhaps, just perhaps, to see Jerusalem. But even that was not a promise, just a distant shadow on the horizon, a goal that always seemed to elude you. Forget the images of triumphant armies and heroic victories, of pious knights fighting for justice in shining armour. This was the real story, a story of mud, feverish nights, abandoned villages and cold metal. A story in which faith was sometimes the only thing that kept you going, a small spark of hope in the darkness, or slowly shaped you into a person you never thought you'd be. And yet, despite all this harshness, this indescribable effort, you kept going. You persevered, because you had to, because there was no alternative, no turning back, and because somewhere deep inside you believed it had meaning, a higher purpose, a divine goal that could justify all the suffering. Were you heroic? Flawless? No, but you were real, and that's what makes this story. No myth, no legend, but a human being who mastered a great challenge with nothing but a sword, a prayer, and the hope that in the end there was more than just dust. Was this a relaxing story? Certainly not, but it was yours.